an emotional reaction comes or a trigger comes, and we are kind of pointing our finger maybe at someone, are we supposed to be pointing the finger at ourselves in that case?
It's a wonderful question, and I would like to explore in some details about it. Now, the way life exists on earth, it is a web of relationship. Because nothing can exist in absolute isolation. Everything is interconnected. So you can call it web of life. And some people called actually in ancient times the Indra's net of jewels. Means this whole existence is made up of little jewels, and they are interconnected, and each jewel reflects all other jewels. Mirroring, as you mentioned. Or hologram. What is hologram? Hologram is a special type of picture which is three-dimensional, and it is different from ordinary picture. How? Ordinary picture, if you divide into 4 pieces, picture will be divided into 4 pieces. It will be fragmented. In holographic picture, you can divide this into millions of pieces, but each piece will reflect the whole picture. Faded, but nonetheless. That is the nature of life. Life is nothing else but a web, and we cannot see it without relationship. So, for example, I myself, Jivasu, as a man who is a teacher, who was a doctor, who belonged to India, and now living in Canada, speaking English language, I cannot define any one of those things without mirror in others. Who is Jivasu? That means there are others who are non-Jivasu. Otherwise, Jivasu has no significance. So how I recognize myself? Okay, I'm Jivasu because others like you are Matt. That is why Jivasu became significant. I'm Indian originally. That simply means there are non-Indian. I was a medical doctor. That means there were others who were not medical doctor. I'm a teacher. That means others are non-teacher. So what I'm trying to say, I cannot define myself apart from others. So I can only identify as Jivasu in mirroring in others.
It's helping you separate yourself from others.
That's right, because without that there won't be any differentiation. We can't live. So our relationships or our existence is based on those relationships. And what is relationship? It is mirror. It is mirror. That is what we said in holographic picture or Indra's net of jewels is the same thing. So we are constantly reflecting in each other and understanding about ourselves. But of course, at a particular point, that mirroring can go inside also, as you mentioned, witnessing. That can happen. But first of all, let's clarify in context of relationship, because some people feel they can live without relationship, they can be pure individual. It's nonsense. Because even in psychology, they don't talk about individual anymore. They call it a relational self.
Right.
Without mirroring myself in others, I cannot define anything at all. all life is nothing else but mirroring. But somebody may ask, listen, single cell organism or a plant, how they are mirroring? Because they are not self-aware. Although they are not self-aware, still their existence is the part of the same web. So their definition is also in context of all relationship, but without self-awareness. So one bacteria connecting to other bacteria, connecting to the plant, connecting to the butterfly, to the flower, there is always, but that mirroring is not like us. That is very automatic. That is at a very fundamental level, because without that they cannot exist. Because all life is completely interconnected. But we are conscious of this mirroring. There is no doubt about it.
So how does the mirroring of like emotions then work?
The thing is, how do I know I'm angry?
If someone else is not angry.
That's right.
Is that how shallow it is, or does it go deeper? Is messages in there?
That's right. Thing is that anger only can be defined in context of others. Because if I was not given this name anger to my emotion, just like in animals, I won't know it is anger or not. That is what we do. In children, what we do, children are growing up and they have particular emotion and we tell them to label it anger. Right? Now, anger will always happen in context of somebody else, something else. Right? So why a child is angry? Because child is not getting anything or something from the parents, or there is a fight with another child.
Even if we're angry in ourselves, because of ourselves, it's usually somebody else triggered it.
Because life is always contextual. It cannot exist in absolute aloneness.
Right.
So that is why life overall becomes my mirror, because as I'm reacting, as I'm thinking, as I'm reflecting, that will be mirrored in others. That may be plant, they may be animals, they may be human being. Because after that mirroring, I will know what I'm going through. So I will understand myself. I'm angry, I'm frustrated, I'm traumatized, I'm happy, I'm this and that. Everything which happens to me inside, I only recognize because of the mirroring in others. That is the only way to recognize this is happiness, this is anger, this is violence, or this is something else. That is why relationship is so important. And particularly healthy relationship, because healthy relationship means that I'm able to reflect about myself. I'm able to mirror myself more accurately. In an unhealthy relationship, when I'm either oppressed, right, by others, or I'm dominating others, that will make a huge difference because I cannot mirror myself accurately.
Right. So, because that would be based off of conditioning.
That's right.
Due to whatever happened and how you were raised, those reactions are giving you a false mirror.
False mirror, because either I'm oppressed or I'm dominating others. So my self-knowledge, my self-understanding will be unhealthy. That is why it's so-called love. If we truly love, love is the best mirror. Why? If I truly love, and what is the meaning of love? Meaning of love is when I'm treating the other person at the same level. The moment there is a difference between two people, love will disappear. I'm not talking about how much wealth, other person have, how much power other person has, how beautiful other person. No. Whatever they have, if love has to persist or love has to exist, both become subjects. It is not a subject-object relationship, that you are the object of my desire and I can use you, I can manipulate you, and I am the subject, I am the master. If that happens, what will happen? Such a beautiful mirroring. Because if I'm treating other person as my own equal, then I won't feel bad, guilty, angry, or upset when other person telling me, okay, you are going through this. This is your problem. It is coming from inside. I will accept it. Once I accept it, I have a much better understanding about myself.
Is it as simple as treating others as if you were to treat yourself?
Exact same thing.
But sometimes that's easier said than done.
Very difficult, because I will be challenged. And why we will be challenged? Because I'm coming from my own baggage, all of my past, conditioning, my trauma, my experiences, my sorrow, right? And I'm coming here and I'm developing relationship here. So mirroring will challenge my assumption because I'm carrying this. So I'm speaking from this conditioned point of view. Other person will show me that, okay, you are carrying the baggage because this is not the truth is. I may feel very upset because I lived with that for 30, 35 years. So yes, it is quite difficult. That is why relationships fall apart. What is the reason? I don't want to admit. I don't want to see my true face in the mirror of relationship. And what is relationship? It's life. As we discovered, all life is nothing else but relationship. In quantum physics, they very clearly say everything is connected to everything else. There is nothing like some individual particle emerging. There is a one force field. So in context of life, we can say this is a force field of life.
To learn more about our teachings, courses, and community, visit somapath.org.